Ladies and gentlemen and gentle people, welcome back to pyanodon's, where it is time to do some stuff, because that's the game. That's the game we love. All right, our construction bots are still angry at us. Once they're done being angry at us about this, we're going to give them a new angry project, which is making more tiles, because I do think these look really cool, and we want them on the entire base eventually. It's going to take a while. I also want to do some specific tiling projects. So I want Nexlet tiles underneath our circuitry. So I'm actually just gonna do that now. I'm gonna bite the bullet. We're gonna bite the bullet, and we're just gonna say this is Nexlet tile in. Now I need to decide kind of what spacing we want, because the rail blueprint goes, let's see. So that would be 0 tiles past the signal. That would be 1 tile past the signal is where it goes. So it needs a 1 tile margin. And then there's the question of, do I want 1 tile of ground between it? And I think the answer to that's no. So they go 1 tile past the rails. So that would be here. So this is the region for circuitry. Now my bots are really gonna hate this. You know, I mean, we're talking how many tiles is this? So that's like 12,000, like 10 grand construction orders right there, basically. So yeah, it's gonna take a while. That's fine. I'm honestly okay with that. You know, this would be a good place for tier 2 logistics bots. We're using like 100 to 200 tier 1 bots there. Anyway, these bots are going to be pissed for a while, but it's fine. So then we've got 2 of the power plants here. And they're gonna need some startup salt. What's the easiest way to create the startup salt? Is it logistics bots? Is a logistics bot carrying salt better, or barrels of saline water? Barrel of saline water is 5 salt. But then they gotta carry the empty barrel back. And I got to deal with an evaporator. But that is 5 times as much per logistics trip. So maybe to generate salt from nothing, first of all, regarding saline water, I think we've got a solution there. From last episode, you guys may know what I'm thinking. We have a pretty easy barreling solution for that. And then, oh, you know, I didn't start any research. I meant to start some research. We got distracted with ref syngas and then going down the train of all sorts of random crap. I know Arthurians need to be researched just as a prereq for many other things, so let's do that. Fridrins needed, Negasium, that's one of the things that goes into Pi3. And then we can get our cotton gut turd, which I can look into. Let me check that off the list for now. Cotton gut, don't know yet. What is the... I'm gonna give myself like 30 seconds to look at this. Oh yeah, we have looked at this before. We get 1 more of each of the one that you're making, but not the byproduct ones. The other option was, is this a different recipe for deluxe food, or is it deluxe food only exists in the... Yeah, I think this only exists. It's kind of cheap. think. This feels pretty cheap. One pup. It's a little dark humor there. And that gets you more cotton guts. 50% more, by the way. Pretty big boost. 9 to 14, 13 to 20. Yeah, that's a pretty big boost. And we don't want to use Bodos anytime soon. So we're stuck at recipe 2 for a while with bedding and basic food. And I don't even know if I want to use that one, because bedding feels kind of expensive there. So I don't know. That could be pretty good. And then this one was just a speed up. Productivity 10%. Oh, right. But prod 10% is pretty strong. Then again, it's not as strong as... And we have to deal with, like, high-grade lead. I guess that's not that bad. 10% prod versus what is like 50% prod. 1 deluxe food. This one is not affected by productivity, by the way, according to recipe book. Wait, it is. I'm confused. Sometimes recipe book says affected by productivity and sometimes it doesn't. I'm getting confused on when to trust it. Interesting. Okay. So this one can be prodded. Bones are basically free these days. Flora is cheap. These are all cheap. Subcritical water is only getting cheaper as time goes on. It's basically cheap now because hot air is free. I don't actually mind using the hot air for this now. But it'll be even cheaper once we get this recipe. So all that to say... Actually, is this slower? 60 seconds. This is making 40 a second. This is making 10, 20, 25 a second. So this is slower. This one is faster, but the hot air is probably not worth it. I'd rather just have more heat exchangers. Anyway, I mean, the deluxe cotton gut food is looking pretty attractive. Is bedding that expensive? I just can't get a handle on how expensive bedding is. We get productivity on it. The fiber and wood, I think I can consider as basically free now. The grod is... Oh yeah, and we also get the formic acid version, which doubles our bedding. Okay. That'll help a lot. And that's made in a bio factory, which I think we get like a prod upgrade for eventually, don't we? How much grod can I make these days? I don't even remember grod. What did we do for grod? I set it up with the tier 2 recipe, tier 2 buildings, and tier 2 in mind. And I even set up the carbide connection thingy. And with all of that, we can generate 1 grod a second from only 3 buildings. And I'd say it's pretty cheap. So I think we can consider grod to be not quite as cheap as stuff like Relasia's, but still cheap. Okay. Renea, on the other hand, is not cheap yet, and it needs manure. When do I get Renea 2? Not for a while. And that needs pesticides and Yadles, but I think will still be cheaper overall in terms of manure bacteria. So Renea is not cheap yet. I'm in the way of trains again. Okay, so barreling machine, saline water. Requester for barrels, provider for saline barrels. Empty barrel. Let's just let it fill up. No harm in that. I will stop this though at some point. Saline water barrel is less than, I don't know. We'll just take it to 1,000. Okay. Easy enough. And then for this, we now need like a weird combo of a basic oxygen furnace with an evaporator with a requester and a barreler. And this is making salt from the unbarreler, which then we won't use a diagonal. We'll do this with actually, wait, no, that's not the direction. This needs to have a filter on saline water barrel. Otherwise, it could put empty barrels into there later. That doesn't need to do anything. This needs to bring in the salt, and then this needs to have raw fiber just to fuel the thing. And then I need to have this guy making molten salt with efficiencies. Okay, so overall, I think that's how I'm gonna start these situations. How much salt are we gonna want in the system? How much salt is in this system? This is in the ballpark of the right number, and it's 7.8K. All right, the problem is we don't have a storage that goes less than 10K, do we? We sure don't. Let's just do this and only run the building. Because what percentage is that? It's only about 5% full. Okay. So then that means back button is useless. That means we're gonna run this until molten salt is at about 500. Okay. So that works. I'm gonna blueprint that as a molten salt generator. We need some power along here. There's some light in there. We are gonna need cargo logistics connection. And then we'll make a blueprint for that called molten salt logistics. Okay. Throw that in there. And I think that'll do it for getting the salt started. And then we just need to hook up a couple more things. So one is the connections here to the buildings, which it's so weird. It feels so weird to connect the input and output to the same network. It just feels wrong. I know it's not wrong. It really feels wrong. And then they're gonna need pressurized water each, needing. Oh, perfect. I don't know if I realized that. I kind of assumed these did, what's it called? 200, because the air is 200. No, I want to make it smaller. Okay. Finally, we've got the output of the pressurized steam. And in this case, we do just want to direct it to this network here. So I will go along this corner. Wow, it's like 2 tiles from being able to span that whole pond. Crazy. We don't have construction rights? Oh my gosh. Apparently my brain is roller coaster tycoon pilled from like a very deep level. Wow. I don't know where that came from. Construction rights. Holy cow, dude. That was a deep cut even for my own brain. I do watch some Marcel Voss videos, which I highly recommend, by the way. He's a content creator, and he does a lot of Roller Coaster Tycoon stuff. That's very, very good. But that being said, I still didn't expect myself to use the phrase construction rights anytime soon. Are these gonna reach? That gets to here. I don't know. It's actually kind of close. I can scoot this a couple tiles over. I think that'll do it. Alright. Woo! Look at this chaos of blueprints and built excellent. It kind of looks cool that way. The blueprints kind of fit in and make it have these jagged textures. That's actually really neat. I almost wish I could just like make it look like that forever. But I can't because the bots are going to try to build it. I guess I could change. Can you change the logistics channel of a tile blueprint to 1 and then they wouldn't build it? That's fine. Now you can see the problem with Nextlet tiling. It's really hard to see what's going on. The Nextlet tiling is so busy visually that it makes things like inserters and belts and pipes much harder to grok. Which is fine in certain circumstances, but overall I think it's a good example of like visual design not just being about what looks cool, you know, like, and it's fine in the sense that like I don't think every tile is meant to be a background for a whole base, and in that sense it's fine. Like it's not like, you know, the Nextlet tiles need to be not visually busy, but because they are visually busy, it does lend them to not being something you can just tile your base with if you value your eyeballs. And some people don't care. I've seen some people that do tile their base with visually noisy tiles, and I don't understand it personally, but it's also not inherently wrong. Anyway, what was I doing? I literally have no memory of like where we got distracted from. I know we were dealing with Arqads. Seems like I'm out of fluid trains. I'm not really sure why. Maybe these Nextlet tiles are... I mean, they're requesting some tar, I guess. So that's some amount of deliveries, but that can't be it. That's only 40 a second. Maybe some other things have fired up that are using a lot of fluid. I think this is set to be done on its own. And it's hooked into the output, so we don't need to worry about that. Okay. Definitely running out of fluid trains. I mean, we'll need more at some point. I don't even have that many. How many do I actually have? I only have 19. That's kind of crazy that just 19 1-1 trains have been supporting all fluid transport for the entire game. When you consider that, it's actually kind of impressive. We've only needed 19 for this long. I mean, my base is not an end-game base, but it's certainly a mid-game base. This is a large base. And 19 1-1 trains is kind of crazy, being able to handle that. Just for fluids, of course, obviously. Solids require more than that. All right, so back to Arqad planning for tier 2. I think we'll go with colony collapse. So let's just start from scratch. I don't know what's going on here. Okay, so Arqad. Arcads themselves are needed for what again? I'm gonna need to look so many times at recipe book here. So the Arcads themselves are used in Arqad venom is the main thing. And then I guess later there's some organic pulp thing. But there's a couple ways to make that. Oh, interesting. Surely 2 Vrauk and 2 Arqad is easier than 120 Grod. Maybe it's not, though. I don't know. I haven't compared late game Grod. It's possible one of those is actually competitive. Either way, Arcads, for the most part, are needed for the venom. And then my old build made 0.229 net. Let's multiply that by a lot. Let's go to 1.5. And we're just going to start... Wow, that's so much faster. Well, I guess that made 0.7. But it's the net effect of 0.229. So this is only twice as much so far. We'll need to change numbers as we go. Okay, so anyway, the nests come from now the tier 2 recipe. I think we'll see if the jelly barrel recipes are going to be an issue. And the colony collapse doesn't change anything. It changes the honey. The other ones, I guess, sort of will help too. And then it changes the eggs. Okay. Lubricant, I'm never going to make from Arcads, because we already get it for free from aromatics. All right, so then we've got all that done. Now, I left the Vrauks out, right? Yeah. So now we add in the Arqad nest. Nope, already did that. We add in the maggots, which there's one recipe for. We'll set this up. I have tier 2 Vrauks, and we already have the natural cycle productivity set up. That should all be good. So caged Vrauks, we'll just boil that back down to regular Vrauks. And then we need the eggs, which will come from recipe 3, colony collapse version, which is this guy. You know, and I'm gonna set all this up for Arqad module 2 as well. And do we get apiary 2s soon? Yes, I have all of those ingredients. Okay. So soon enough, we'll have tier 2s of all of the animal buildings that we need. Okay. So let's just assume 2 on everything. And I'll just know that this will be about half speed until we can get Arqad Mark 2. So that's fine. Okay, so then this is generating the eggs. Got it. And now we need to generate the queens. Yeah, and this needs Arqads. That's part of the main Arqad cost. Okay. This is still the same maggot ratio. Yeah, so we're not getting any better on maggots. We are getting better on eggs, though. From... Right? From colony collapse? We get 25 instead of... No, it's the same. It's not that ratio that's better. It's just the wax that gets way better. Right. Okay. For the cost of making more queens in the first place. I think that's fine. I don't know. We'll see. So then actually producing the queens comes from this recipe. And 0.02 a minute seems to be my differential. 3.894, 3.914. Yep, so that's correct. And then that's literally one building running. I mean, that's so easy. We are going to need to make some extra nests to provide for that. So this guy goes at 105%, 108%, 112%. There it is, 111, 110.5, 0.2, 1. Wait, I swear I did 110. Nope, I didn't. Okay, 109, 0.5, 0.8, 0.6. 0.5. There we go. So that's the break even. Though I guess I do want, I should have done this. I do want a couple extra queens. We'll say 105%. Just to be on the safe side of everything. Okay. So that I think is all working out. And then now we need to make the honeycombs, the honey barrels, the jelly barrels, and then we're done. Cool. Okay, so the Arqad jelly barrels is really unrelated. It's made in the apiary hydrocarbon plants, and we need a lot of them for this. But really, it's just Renea and Carbon Black and BTX. Carbon Black we've already got a lot of. It's just anthracene and vacuum, so I'll just... Will I make it on site? Do I have Carbon Black? I don't think I have Carbon Black in the network. Maybe I should. I don't. Does it go in anything else? Or is that it? No, that is it. Yeah, that's annoying. I need it in 3 things. Rubber, the other thing I just recently used it in, and then Arqad jelly. That's it in the entire game. So I'll probably just make it on site with, because I already have anthracene in a fluid form. It's way less dense though. You know, 25,000 anthracene only makes like 500 carbon black. So anyway, oh well. So we'll do that. BTX is easy to get. But this is a real cost. The Renea is the real cost here. I don't have... Yeah, that's 10 full Renea plantations. That's more than that because of the seeds. Yeah, that's actually a lot. Okay. So what that means is maybe it's best to not use this recipe for Arqad nests. Let's see what the other one looks like. The tier 1. Because it's possible that that ends up being cheaper in the long run. Because while we do need more, it's a worse comb ratio, and it's obviously slower. It ends up with not needing a ton of Arqad jelly. It even needs more Vrauk food. What a scam. Normally things get cheaper on the ones that came from previous recipes too, but this one's more. Total scam. So it's saving me. Is it even less honey, or is it more honey as well? Okay, it is less honey. It's saving me some honey, but it's costing me jelly, which is way worse. It's costing me more Vrauk food for the same process, and it's saving me some empty combs. But if I'm using colony claps, empty combs are basically free because I'm gonna have output wax coming out my ears. Not earwax though, you know, but you get what I'm saying. So yeah, I actually think that we'll just use a couple more apiary. I mean, it is like way slower. It's almost 3 times as many apiaries, but not needing to make all that jelly seems like an easy win. And that's way less Renea. So I think, at least for now, until Renea is way cheaper, which might happen at some point, but it's not true now, I think not using jelly for that. I do think using jelly here makes sense, because it's a better Arqad to egg ratio, so we actually increase our productivity cycle, and it's not that much of it. But yeah. And this makes each queen more effective, so that means we don't need as many queens. So I do think that's a good way to do the loop, but anyway, so that is that, and now I'm only missing honey, I think. So we need a good amount of honey here, but that's easy peasy lemon squeezy. When do I get the other honeycomb recipe? We also get that one. Okay. Do I want to use that one? So we are essentially replacing... What are we doing? So we are... It's a lot faster, first of all. Like, way faster. Basically 3 times faster. So that's a thing. But we're kind of saying, like, instead of 1 Ulrich, we're using 5 meat, 5 skin, and 1 Navens. Because it doubles the output and adds those things instead of another Ulrich. So then the question becomes, are those things easier to acquire than 1 Ulrich? Is 1 Navens easier or harder than 1 Ulrich? And the meat and skin are basically free. Again, like, not technically. It's one of those things that's free until it's not. But I think for now it's quite free because of all the AUGs. So then I have to think about Navens. How hard is a Navens per second? It's really not that hard. And that's with tier 1 junk. So I'm gonna say Navens are easier than Ulrichs. Yeah, I think that's probably true. I mean, the baseline cost for Navens is just quite low. Because I'm making extra fungal substrate here. If I remove that, the cost for 1 Naven is, I mean, it's basically 1 fertilizer and 1 guts. That's it. The rest of the stuff almost rounds to 0. You know, a quarter of a biomass, 0.072 urea. Yeah, so Navens, I think, are cheaper than Ulrichs. Ulrichs aren't terrible, but they're more expensive than that, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, I mean, Ulrichs need some fertilizer, they need some ash, they need some flora, they need a little bit of tin for the food. And I think it's a more complex process because it involves another plant and food making. So overall, it's simpler and cheaper to do the new honeycomb recipe. Perfect. Good news, because it's also 3 times faster. which is worth something in its own right. So back to Arqads. We will indeed do the honeycomb recipe here. And the honey from the honeycomb recipe, that is the colony collapse version. And then we also need to generate honey. Let's say, let's go big. Let's say 100 a second, just to see where it leads us. This guy's definitely gonna have some efficiency modules. And then, wait, what the heck? That is not the recipe I selected. Hold on, I selected the wrong one. The next one involves cotton gut and muck moo instead of an Ulrich. Now that's really interesting. Muck moo are not cheap, so that's probably worse. My gut says that one's worse again than this one. But yeah, we only need 2.4 apiaries for that. That's crazy. This is like a smaller build than what we have right now. I mean, we're totaling up to only 16 apiaries. That's bonkers. All right, so that's all done. Wait, what's going on? Oh, right, because the honeycombs get directly eaten here at this stage. Okay, so then we need to generate some empty honeycombs, of course with hot air support. And then from there, we've got an output of used combs and an input of empty combs. But otherwise, are net neutral. Oh, we have an input of wax too. Okay. So what we need to do is make the empty combs from wax, as one does. Okay, so now that's gone. So now we just have input wax, which we get from the used combs. And because we are doing the colony collapse, we can boost this up to use up all the used combs. About what, 180%? 185, 186, 0.3, 0.4, 5, basically. And there you go. And Arqad honey can be turned into wax, remember. Yep, right? I'm not making that up. Wax barrel is just Arqad honey barrel. Yeah. So we can transfer honey to wax at any stage we want. So we might as well start at honey. But that means I'm also making 100 wax a second if I want to. So this is pretty huge. We wanted this to be higher though. Remember, we wanted like 1.5 out. So this is maybe more about what we want in terms of final build size. Lots of random added ingredients, but overall it's fine. The 2 Vrauks a second could be problematic. I don't actually know my Vrauk capacity. The honey part, if I'm seeing it correctly, does not need any Vrauks. The Vrauks are needed for the Arqad part. So honey and wax I can generate without Vrauk cost. It's Arqads themselves that cost Vrauks. And I don't think there's a way around that, because they eat the Vrauks. Queens eat the Vrauks to make the maggots, or the eggs grow up inside the Vrauks. It's very parasitic wasp situation. And then the Vrauks themselves, it's kind of both. The eggs grow up. I assume they're planted inside of a caged Vrauk. I don't know if I should look too deep into this. But then the maggots also grow up inside, just around a Vrauk. I don't know, maybe it gets murdered or something. Whatever. Yeah, we don't need to look too deep into it, but all that to say, we need Vrauks. What's our Vrauk build look like? I have no idea which one is current. In fact, none of those look current. Oh my, we're almost done with this episode? feel like we just started. What do we got? We've got 0.5 Vrauks. Yikes, that's not very much. Huh. Okay, let's ignore all this caged crap. I just want to see what I need for 2 Vrauks a second. Know the food as well. Alright. So soon I will have tier 2 products. I do already have tier 2 repos. Do I get a Vrauk 3? We already have Vrauk 3? But it's the fancy food, the quality food. And bedding, yeah, we'll see if that's actually worth it. But I can already make... Oh, I need good alien samples. Wait, do I have good alien? I have good alien samples. Yeah, I don't have great alien samples. Either way, I could get tier 3 or Mark 3 Vrauks. But yeah, this is where we're at currently. To support fully my Arqad build. That's a lot. That's a lot of Vrauks. And none of those end up making brains, by the way. So that's a thing. Okay, so then the other option is the third one, which we also have. And that looks like this. I'm worried about that quality food, man. And is this even better? So we're going 8 to 12, which is an average of 10. This is an average of 20. So we're making twice as many. But the Vrauk food's doubling as well. We're removing sap, but adding Fawoji. Fawoji's cheap. Flora's a little cheaper. Water's cheaper. I don't care about water. And we add in a bedding. I'm not sure about that. It does mean I need fewer repro complexes, which is nice. The tier 2 would require 6.3. Oh, I don't need moss for this one? Okay, that is nice. Because that's a lot of moss. So we're cutting down on moss. We're cutting down on flora. We're basically switching out sap for Fawoji. Less water. Same amount of Vrauk food, but now we need quality food and bedding as an extra cost. How much does that really run us in terms of other stuff? 0.1 Grod, very doable. The 0.5 Yo toy is feeling a little pricier. But we do have tier 2 saw blades. And someday I'll have... Okay, sorry, these sound effects are not enjoying. Okay, this is not too bad. Actually. And that's the bedding for both, I just realized. Okay. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think we can live with that. Okay. So essentially we can switch to this anytime, right? I mean, what's holding me back from switching to this right now? Just what's on the sushi belt, right? I think so. And we already have moss, sap, water, flora, Vrauk food. So I just need to bring in bedding, quality food, and Fawoji. And drop down the amount of moss, and then we can switch the recipes over. I don't think I'm making quality Vrauk food, though. It is kind of a involved recipe, you could say. Ew, it needs casein? Oh, no. Am I out? That feels like a lot. Is this a lot? It's 0.63 buildings. Okay, that's not terrible. I can handle that. This is a lot of Vrauks we're talking. That's 2 Vrauks a second. Okay, so Vrauks are good to go upgrade-wise. Let's get the food going here. Quality Vrauk food. It does need fish oil. Do I already have that? For whatever reason, yeah, I was gonna say, like, my brain is saying I do have fish oil here. So bring that over and up. Copy this, but remove the request, and then the rest will fall into place. Shoot. All right. Steam acquired, prod modules inserted, outserter changed to correct food item. It outserts everything though. The spoilables go in there. Do any of these spoil? Agar spoils. Crap. Agar the horrible. Not true. We are gonna have to solve that. Let's finish that solution and then we'll call it an episode. I will do it in person though. You know what? Those are all, I mean, I'll leave them on the to-do list, but I don't really care about those. I think I'm gonna wait until I run out of metals to go get more. You know what I mean? Oh, like Nextlit running out. That's a problem. And phosphorus pentasulfide. Why has Nextlit run out? That one I was not. Oh wait, I know why Nextlit's run out. Ask stupid questions, get stupid answers. I know exactly why Nextlit's run out. Probably has something to do with, oh, I don't know, this. Because isn't each one of these like a whole Nextlit plate or something? Basically half a Nextlit plate each. So if I just did, how many thousand did I just do? We said that's about 10,000. So I just used 5,000 Nextlit plates. Okay, that is a lot. Now, do we have the tile maker as low priority request? Yeah, I do. It's at -2. And then the Nextlit itself. Just looking at. Wow, I have a lot of different Nextlit named spots. Can I speed this up at all? Like, what's the current hang up here? According to PRCE, the hang up is, it doesn't know. That breaks it. Got it. Okay, so between those, we'll just analyze it the old-fashioned way. We don't have enough molten. These are consuming all of the fine Nextlet powder, so we do have enough of these. These are consuming all of the grade 3, so we do have enough of these, which means we just need more grade 3, which just means, I think, that we can just make another pair of all this and paste it in a day. A little unfortunate that it doesn't quite fit, so what I'm gonna do is make my bots unhappy for a little bit. Move this down 4 tiles. And then that leaves room for the other one. And then from there, I don't even know. Things are gonna get weird. We're gonna need another one of these. We are gonna need a beacon in here somewhere. I'll have to figure out how that works. Okay, anyway, back to food related things. Okay, channel 1 for all that, and then yeah, we need agar. So how do we do that? I think probably right next to it, and then we can provide the steam directly. We're gonna have to get seaweed in the network, and then we're gonna have to do a weird thing where, like, I'm measuring. So this stops working when brought food in the network. No, in the chest is 200. So this will only run if. Let's see, if Vrauks food is less than. It makes how many at a time? 6? Less than 6. Obviously this is going to lead to some spoilage still, which is fine. So that we're going to end up with some biocrud in here. That's fine. That just means this has to include biocrud. And then that'll get taken care of. And then we also grab a biocrud from here. Okay. I think that should do it. And now we just need casein, grod, 2 for seed, and fiberboard. So many things. Casein. Rod, 2 for seeds. We'll do a full thing of 2 for seeds. I don't think I want to do a full thing of grod or casein or fiberboard. 6 and 11. Okay. Should have space for all that. Then from there, we're still missing nothing. That's actually it. That will be quality Vrauks food. Okay, and then we just request the quality Vrauks food here. What are we at for requests? Oh, this has a scroll bar. I was like, this thing's almost full. That's bad. No, we're good. We're good. Okay, quality Vrauks food. All right, that'll do it. I I'm gonna put a couple tier 2 bots in there. Help out a bit. We don't need construction bots in that network. That should do it. All right, and then the Nexalit issue is seemingly not resolved. Close. Okay. Weird. I don't think I understood what I was doing properly when I did this. I don't think I was trying to leave 3 spaces, but it works out nicely that I did. Weird. Alright. So I think that takes care of it. They've all got modules. I think I probably should belt upgrade everything to red here. Actually know if I need this. Just to be safe. And then also insert, oh, we don't have a stack inserter. I need one. Insert to stack. And we got blue inserter as well to stack. Okay. Inserts to green. Knight to C4. Whee! Alright. Okay. Uh-oh. Really? That sounds like an issue. Oh, it's just a count issue. Yeah, we just need one. Okay. No problems. And yeah, I think with that, we've got quality Vrauks food. We've got Nexalit, bottleneck, halfway taken care of. I'm sure there's other pieces to this bottleneck as well that will now exist. So I don't know how much we actually improved rate. Only time will tell. Because these scrubbers seem like they're now maxed out. And the only way I can get those faster. Also, is this crusher maxed out? I think it would be. Yeah, that's maxed out. Let's give the crusher its own little 5-1. And then this can be moved down a tile or one tile so it hits that boundary. That'll help. And then the scrubbers can't really be helped that much except by just adding. So we'll do, I think we'll do a 2-2 on everything here. Could do a 2-4. 64 megawatts? Yeah. We'll start with a 2-2 and see where that leads us. And then power-wise, are these running? It seems like they are. Oh. Well, silly card X tricks are for kids. I never connected this. Okay. So we've been making power, but it hasn't actually, or we've been making steam, but it hasn't been making power. Okay, with that, I think we will call it an episode. This is still making salt slowly. The network has 1.4K. It'll eventually have the amount that it wants, so that's totally fine. And just remember, by having more salt, what we're doing is we're decreasing, actually wait, am I crazy? I was saying we're decreasing the waste heat. or wasted heat, but are we? I'm less convinced, actually, that the amount of salt has anything to do with that. Because the moment the salt gets to the appropriate temperature of 2000 degrees, these both will start running. And at that point, we are now on a 4-second timer that is fixed. That means that no matter what, in the next 4 seconds, all of the heat produced by this is wasted. All of it. Wasted 4 seconds. Well, it's, I mean, not quite, because that 4 seconds heats things up further, which then when these dump their cold stuff back in, it balances out a little bit with that heat. So now the whole group is still warmer. So I guess actually, is it just irrelevant? Because the heat energy added in that 4 seconds is constant, no matter how much salt we have. Like the total heat energy contained in the salt, you know, body. And then the heat energy subtracted is constant, sort of. It's slightly higher subtraction if the salt is above 2000. But in terms of like when these first start running, it's always when it exactly has just hit 2000 degrees. So as soon as these first start running, then they're subtracting exactly 1000 degrees in those 4 seconds. But it's 1000 degrees times 100 units. So it's 100,000 degree units are being subtracted. So the only way to improve that issue is to have more LFRs. And even at that point, there's really nothing there's always a 4-second delay no matter what we do. And that 4-second delay is per solar panel, and there's nothing we can do about that. I guess the only thing we really could do is fancy wiring, where as soon as one of these starts up, that tells the system, hey, it's hot, and it pumps out all the warm stuff and immediately pumps in a stored amount of cold stuff. And then that way we have this weird cycle where like we're never utilizing stuff that's above 2000 degrees. Because if we're utilizing stuff that's above 2000 degrees, we're subtracting extra. But we're not really losing that much, right? Like, because this is subtracting 1000 degrees per run. If it subtracts 1005 degrees, that means we're only losing 0.05 efficiency. So it's really not a big deal. But part of me wants to design that system just for fun. It feels like it would be fun to design. Like, wait until... Actually, how would I do that? Because if we pump out as soon as it's 2000 degrees, which is measured by this beginning its run, I guess what you do is you have an influx of cold. I don't actually know. There's no easy way. You kind of have to let... I don't even know, actually. Because you want to cool it down, but then you want it to be at exactly 2000. Like if these aren't running, you want to be trickling in hot fluid. I guess what you do is you separate out, you let these just heat stuff up to 5000 and you just have a different pool. So you separate out the pools, and now you're just kind of, you can use pumps, maybe with restricted speeds via tank volume manipulation, and then those pumps somehow trickle in hot just enough to get it to 2000, and then these run, and then they trickle in more hot, and then these run. And so like from that you could make it so that these are never being inefficient. I don't know, I'm just spitballing. All right, we gotta get out of here. I just want to see if Nextlet's still working. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next one.